Okay, let's get started. Welcome to this webinar on GitHub Copilot Unraveled featuring Gino's Gelato. So, because I have my Italian or Swiss, I must say.
Actually, I'm Italian, but I live in Switzerland since 8 years now. So I start to be, I don't know, not sure about my origin, but still Italian. I mean, my accent is quite clear where I come from.
Exactly. So, to get started, I'm Fokko Veegens. I work here at Xebia as a DevOps consultant and GitHub trainer, and together with me is Emanuele. So.
Yeah, I'm Emanuele, and the GitHub lead for the DACH region, and I work with Fokko sometimes. Also on, actually, not on projects, but in content creation or something like that.
Exactly.
And
we visited Universe together, GitHub Universe.
Yeah, exactly. We went
really
at Universe together in San Francisco, and I hope we come back also this year together. And let's see.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, but you didn't come for small talk. You came for Copilot. So let's get started, right? First, small story on GenAI and Copilot, and then the majority of this webinar will actually be demos. We'll be showing you, telling a story, and along the way, we'll be showing you how we use GitHub Copilot. Funny little detail is that we didn't do a whole lot of preparation, so you will see some fun situations that we move ourselves into, and then hopefully we know how to get out of it.
Yeah, of course, but it's quite common with Copilot in general with LLM, because you never know what happens when you use even the same prompt. Let's say sometimes you have some results, and
the next time
sometimes you have some else, but we can a little bit, let's say, mitigate this experience with some tricks, but we'll see later,
sure.
Of course.
We'll see. All right, so to get started, GenAI tools like GitHub Copilot are just very well implemented text predictors. And that is a message that I would like to convey, because a lot of people think GitHub Copilot is magic, but GitHub Copilot is not magic. It's just very good at predicting the next word. And although there is all kind of technology around it to, make sure that it works the way you see it work, there is no magic. And there's a nice example here in the screenshot that I included in this slide. GitHub Copilot is and then GitHub has had AI pair programmer as a main tagline for Copilot for a long time. So Copilot knows about that. So it's really good at predicting that. So that's how it works. No magic, it's just text prediction. And if you look at the current way GitHub describes Copilot, is way more than just the prediction of next words. It is included in way more scenes or situations than before. It all started out with code completions, but now you see that it is integrated in your IDE in a way that you can use chat. It's on GitHub.com platform with all kinds of agents available. It can do PR summaries. We have Spaces. We have Spark.
The CLI, if you want to use the CLI.
Yeah.
It's an ecosystem now. It's not anymore a chat, because also when I do trainings, a lot of people still think that Copilot is a chat, but it's not a chat anymore. It's just the chat is just one feature of Copilot, but it's not only the chat. Yeah.
Exactly. So that is what Copilot is. And to get started with GitHub Copilot, I assume that most of you already have access to GitHub Copilot, right? But just to make sure that you're aware of these requirements, the first thing is you need a license. And there are there are a few different licenses. There are individual licenses called Free, Pro, and Pro Plus. The free license, of course, free, but comes with limitations. And then Pro and Pro Plus are more for individuals. Then we go to the business license. The business license is something that a lot of people are probably using that are in this call, because those are the licenses that you get from your employer. The business license has most value, I would say, because on top of that we have the enterprise license, and that contains some additional features, but I don't know if it's worth the additional $20, right?
Yeah,
Because
it depends also on the premium request, because for instance, in the business,
yeah,
you have a more premium request than the enterprise.
yeah,
You have
yeah,
different features in the enterprise, but if
yeah,
you use a lot of premium request, business in this case is better,
yeah,
and you spend less
yeah,
money. So it depends of your use case and needs. But yes,
yeah,
I mean, business is quite common to find
yeah.
also at customers, yes, and not the enterprise version of
Exactly.
Copilot.
Yeah. So you need a license. It's a license that is issued by GitHub. Then we need an IDE. Currently, there are quite a few IDEs supported, where VS Code is one of the most widely adopted
Mhm.
ones, I would say, or at least it's the IDE that is most feature-rich. Generally, features first land in VS Code, and then you see that they trickle down to the other editors. For people that don't know, JetBrains, probably you do know, because they are known for IntelliJ, Rider, WebStorm, PyCharm, Android Studio, and a few more. So all of those editors are supported as well.
Yeah.
Eclipse is one of the new ones, as well as SQL Server Management Studio, the one at the bottom. They also officially support GitHub Copilot. Of course, there is also unofficial support for other editors that I have seen, but keep in mind that this is not officially from GitHub,
Yeah.
but they might be. Same happened to Eclipse. It started as an unofficial integration, and now it's official. Last thing you need is a GitHub account. It can either be a personal GitHub account or one that is issued by your enterprise, where you log in with an SSO experience, right? You just log in
Yeah.
with your company account.
I want to
And,
add only one thing about the ID.
yeah,
Of course, Visual Studio Code is the best, let's say, because uh, not because it is only the best, but just because the team of GitHub Copilot and Visual Studio Code actually they work together.
mhm,
And they created
yeah,
the best experience for Copilot
yeah,
in Visual Studio Code. But also other ideal, like the latest version of Visual Studio is really well implemented. But also JetBrains, like a few weeks ago now, they released a new version,
yeah,
and they add a lot of feature about Copilot.
yeah, yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, true. So I think all of these editors provide a lot of value to Copilot, and one does a little bit more than the other. All right. Some behind the scenes information. So when you use an IDE and you're talking to Copilot, what happens in the background? There's a lot of people wondering how that works. So let's take a look here. So let's assume you're in your editor and you typed in a nice comment, and you want Copilot to be triggered. So you wait a second or two. On the background, the context is collected together with a prompt. Prompt can be the comment that you entered in the file, or maybe in chat you entered some question. In this case, there are open tabs. So those open tabs, at least close to the one that you have open, will be sent along as well as context, and then it will be sent to a proxy. In that proxy, some checks will happen. First one is, of course, toxic language. It will be removed. It will test for relevance. That's only for a chat, so for ask, edit, agent mode, and plan mode. It will check if you're trying to generate a recipe or a poem, which is not relevant for Copilot at least, or if you're really doing something with or related to software development, and then it is relevant. So if you want to generate a poem, there are better ways to do that, better tools. Don't use Copilot for that. You can trick it into doing so, but you know. And the last one is the guard against prompt hacking, and that is to prevent you from trying to reveal service internals of GitHub Copilot. So that can be endpoints or passwords or whatever. There are some guards in a proxy that prevent that from happening. And then your filtered prompt is sent to a large language model, depending on the one you chose. Here we see the OpenAI logo, but of course we have the Anthropic models like Claude Sonnet and Claude Haiku. There's the Google Gemini models. There's XAI model. So it really depends on which model you chose to where your prompt is going. So that model processes your prompt and then discards the prompt. This only applies if you don't have a free license. Free has an opt-out mechanism. and the other licenses have an opt-in mechanism for sharing your prompts with GitHub. These models are not trained based on your prompt, so don't worry. Your prompt is discarded, although the metadata is retained for metrics. Metrics are shared through the API to your enterprise or your organization. So they can see how you use Copilot, but inside of those metrics are data like the IDE that you use, the mode that you use, the version of the IDE, the user account you're logged in with. That is only for the Seeds API, that's not for the metrics. So metrics are completely anonymous, and your prompts are not in there. So anything content related is not stored at all. Only local, of course, for your history. And then the model comes back with suggestions, and they again go through the proxy. And in that proxy, they are verified for code quality. So are there any SQL injection vulnerabilities in, or maybe cross-site scripting risks? Then it will check for unique identifiers like addresses, email addresses, IP addresses, physical addresses. They get filtered out. Also because these LLMs are trained on public data, this can happen. And the last one is it will verify if there's a match with public code. So there is a policy that can be switched on at enterprise or organization level that will block these suggestions matching public code. If it's more than 150 characters, it will verify that. And this is so GitHub can provide IP indemnity over all of the suggestions it comes up with. To prevent any copyright infringement. And then, in the end, if it's filtered both ways, it gets back to your IDE. And that's pretty amazing, right? Because in the code completions, actually GitHub expects that Copilot comes back within half a second. So this entire round trip happens in half a second, so it's pretty amazing. And then for chat, it has more time, of course, and certainly in agent mode, you will see that it streams the output. Right, that was a little behind the scenes information to ensure you're aware of your security and that there is trust in GitHub as a platform. We just want to inform you that prompts and suggestions are not used for training AI models. That is what I already mentioned. The prompts are discarded and the suggestions as well. At least at the server side, because locally you have your history,
yeah.
but that is only local.
It's only local.
Prompts and suggestions are filtered for security issues and PII data. That is what I mentioned. So there is no addresses shared or secrets or anything. Although if you feel uncomfortable and you do have secrets in plain text files, there's the .copilot ignore file that you can fill, or you can use the content exclusions, which is at organization and at enterprise level. So prompts and suggestions are deleted. User interaction data is stored for 24 months. So that is the metrics that I was talking about, which IDE that you use, which version of the IDE, etc. And then the last one is intellectual property protection. So that is the fact that it filters all of the suggestions that are over 150 characters to ensure they are safe to use in your closed source code. If you need more information on this, please go to copilot.github.trust.page because all of the information can be found right there.
And also, if you want a certification about Copilot, there are a lot of questions about it.
Yeah.
So it's an important topic, especially for Microsoft, because actually in your code you can share also your, let's say, your knowledge, no?
Yeah.
Your intellectual property. So it's important to know what happens to your information.
Yeah.
And I remember exactly in the certification GH300 about Copilot, there are a lot of questions about the trust center and intellectual property. So it's an important topic. It's not like only use Copilot in your Visual Studio Code, but you need also to know these things. It's important, especially in the enterprise.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, it's time, right? We're gonna do it. So now it's getting fun because now we had the boring bits, right? Now we're going to build. I'm going to swap to Emanuele's screen, but first we're gonna start with a little bit of history,
History,
about
yes.
Gino, right?
Gino, of
Yeah.
course, it's an Italian friend.
Of course.
He has an ice cream shop, but in Italian it's called Gelato.
Yeah.
Because the translation is gelato. And I don't remember how we started with this gelato. Maybe we were in San Francisco. No, before
Yeah,
San
yeah.
Francisco. Before
Before I
San
think.
Francisco.
Yeah.
I call it gelato during a call for
Yeah.
preparing this webinar. And our American colleagues said, gelato? What is gelato? Oh, gelato is ice cream. Oh, Italian words, blah, blah, blah. And then this is why we created this Gino's Gelato shop. And Gino's Gelato shop, it's a normal shop for ice cream.
Yeah.
But
He has a caravan in the
Yeah.
countryside.
and he's very famous now.
Yeah, he
because
is.
of course it's an Italian ice cream. It's the best ice cream in the world.
Of course.
It's not like the Dutch
No.
ice cream. I don't know the Dutch ice cream. It's good or not? I don't know.
Non-existent.
Exactly. So
We
this is
only
why
have
Italian is
Italian.
better. If you are the only one, for sure yours is better, no?
Yeah.
So this is why. And with Gino Gelato has some problem now because it need a simple solution because it starts to have a long queue.
Yeah.
Outside his shop, and we need to manage the orders.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, people are getting impatient, right?
Yeah.
They're waiting in the line, don't know, and they can't even see what he has in terms of ice, right?
and Gino is
So-
also a rich guy now because he sells a lot
Yeah.
of ice cream. So this is why he came to us and
Yeah.
asked our help.
Now he has money to hire us.
Exactly.
So yeah, we get started. So
Yeah.
let's take a look at your screen. Maybe
Yes.
need to zoom in maybe one more time.
I need to
Just
zoom.
make sure. Yeah, Control Plus and
I have
make sure
this,
that you.
this I was called a keyboard here. Zoom in.
Yeah.
And that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
That looks
So
better.
Gino has, let's say, nothing about technology. So it's just the ice cream shop. So it doesn't have even a website. Nothing. So
No.
we start from scratch.
Yeah.
And for starting from scratch, we can use, of course, Copilot, because I say very often we start with a new project and we have the the syndrome of the blank page and blank project. So you don't know how to start a project. But with Copilot you can use a kind of command. It's called new. Now I paste because it's faster to write all these things. But actually you can use the command, the action actually, slash new, and workspace is added by default when you use slash new. And here you need to start to create a kind of and give to Copilot a context. Like in this case, I want a React application with a backend in .NET. But if, for instance, also in this first sentence, if you don't provide the React, the TypeScript and the UI framework that you want to use, of course, you start to create a React application, maybe even not with the latest version.
Maybe it's
so-
going to write it in Python.
Maybe. Or here, for instance, I forgot to specify the latest version of React. Okay, like latest, like oh sorry, I can add also here. Okay, latest.
Yeah, and this is an interesting thing because these LLMs are of course trained, and there is always a cutoff date, right, for the
Yeah, of
training
course.
data. At some point, they need to finish off the model and then ship it, and then that's it, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
everything that was released after that is not in the model, doesn't know.
No,
So
exactly.
we need somehow to tell it how to get the latest version.
Also with
some
.NET, for
point.
instance, if you just ask a backend with .NET, 99% of the time it create a .NET application, of course, but with version 8
Yeah.
and not 10. Because
Yeah, it depends
10
on the model, of course.
Of course, yeah, of course.
Which model you choose. And
In
but
this
let's see.
case, say very often when I create a new project, I use Sonnet 4.5. A lot of people ask me, what's the best models every time during the training? It's not, it's more about you, let's say, how to use Copilot in general. But I use, in this case, Sonnet 4.5 because, sometimes if you use Opus, now it's very famous, Opus, because it's the best models and everything. But sometimes if you ask something, it let's say, try to goes everywhere and add also his opinion on your project and something. With Sonnet, it happens sometimes, but not very often. So this is why I use Sonnet, but at the same time, it's also good for thinking and provide you the best solution, in my opinion, when you create something like that. And then I'd like to call this shop Gino's Gelato, so it means also the project, maybe 90% of the time is called Gino's Gelato. And then I start to provide also some business logic at the beginning, so at least you don't start from scratch. So in this case, I say in the OPA of the application, I want to choose if I want a cone or a cap. Okay, in Italian it's cono or coppetta. Okay, if you want to
That's
know.
very important.
It's very important. We need to add the translation. We can add the translation.
Yeah,
We can try. We can try.
We can.
And then also the user, in this case the customer, let's say, can choose max, the flavor, and also the toppings from a list.
Yeah, like chocolate chips and
Yes,
anything.
a lot of things, of course. Chocolate, Italian chocolate, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Nutella and something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No Swiss chocolate, right?
You know, I'm fighting with myself.
Yeah, I can imagine.
As an Italian that lives in Switzerland, I'm fighting with myself because I
Internal
like
conflict.
also Swiss chocolate.
Yeah.
But I cannot say that, no, you know.
No.
So,
No, you can't.
so anyway, and it's also cheaper, the Italian one in
Oh, really?
Switzerland. Yeah, because
Okay.
let's say Swiss people pretend to use the Swiss chocolate.
Yeah.
So they say, oh, Italian chocolate is not good. So anyway.
Okay, let's see.
And at the end, the user, of course, can add the ice cream to the cart. Okay, and then let's see what happens. As I say, in this case, I use a close sonnet, and I start with this command.
Now
Okay.
we wait. We get an ice cream.
We get an ice cream if you want. Otherwise, I switch to another screen because I have the solution that works, of course. But as you can see, it creates all the files and all the structure of my my project. As you see, it creates a new folder. Let's say Gino's Gelato. Okay, with the client folder, with the entire application inside here, and also the server folder with the application inside. So, but here now it's only, let's say, in memory, it's only the structure, okay? When I click create workspace, he asks me for a folder, and of course we use the developers folder for
CTemp.
okay? And this is the best folder in the world, and sometimes I delete this folder every 2 weeks. If it's important, who cares? If not, I move the folder before.
If
I
it's
delete.
important, you have committed, right?
Yeah, sometimes not. So, and now you start to create also the contents of the file. So if you wait a little bit, we start to see the solution here that appears somehow. Oh no, at the end, sorry. Because I didn't open it yet. But again, maybe it's better if you switch to the other project.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we
In the
need to wait
meanwhile.
too much.
Yeah.
So I switch to the other project. But I start with the same prompt, same everything, let's say.
We zoom in again.
You have to zoom again. Yes. So, thanks for reminding me because, of course, appearance. Zoom. So
yes.
it's the same project, but of course with the and when it's
already
finished,
done.
he asks you to open the folder, let's say the
project.
new folder,
Yeah.
exactly. And then as you can see, you have the server with the programs, yes, the controller for the holders and everything. So you have actually the entire project. Actually, I don't know if it's run or not, but for sure, what I'm sure about, that it looks ugly actually, because even if we provide all the information and everything, it uses the default theme and everything. But we have let's say a gelato shop, so we need to be
It needs to be nice.
nice. And then
Needs to
I
look
have
nice.
this super professional prompt. This is really super professional prompt.
Should we show it before, first?
I can try. I don't know if
If it runs.
if it runs, of course. But first of all, we need to we need to ask something, because now, as you can see, I cannot launch the application. Okay, because I need to run manually the application.
Yeah.
But in this case, I can go here and ask create the task for launch the projects. Okay, and let's see what happens. Sonnet is fine. In this case, you can also use maybe one free model. We didn't talk about the models, but
No, we don't need to go into
no,
all
exactly.
details.
But I mean, who cares about the free models anymore? You have a lot of free
Well.
requests. So in this case, you start to create this task for launch the project. It means that it creates the launch. The launch, how is called? The launch.
The launch of JSON.
The launch JSON file in the
Exactly.
in the current folder. As you can see, he tried also to launch the commands inside here, and this is very cool, to be honest. Not for this project, but in general, especially when you download the new project from GitHub. I mean, not your project,
Mhm.
and you don't know how to launch, you can go
Yeah.
here and ask, hey, create me
Definitely.
the task, or at least explain me how to launch this project.
Yeah.
And then, as you can see here, I'm allowed to launch. I allowed the piece of the code to create the project. As you can see, it create one task for launching the .NET, one the client, and also launch both together. And if I go here to the task, I have the extension to do that, but you can also do manually. I refresh here. As you can see, I have here in the workspace, I have a launch both several client, or I can launch manually.
Yeah.
And also it create also, I think, here the file, the task.json. And for sure, it's better to go here inside the task.json and create manually. I don't know if it works. We can try to launch this task.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's see if it works.
Maybe it works.
Otherwise, we can skip. I can launch first the
I do
client.
both. YOLO.
Yeah, but I want to. No,
Oh,
no,
you
no.
want it step by step. Ah, that's okay.
It's not recognized, of course, because you know why? Because
no,
we didn't
no
launch.
npm install.
Exactly. Go, terminal. New terminal. CD client. npm install.
We could have asked Copilot, but in this case, we happen to know, right?
I want to preserve my premium request for later. But otherwise, you can ask Copilot why not to launch the project. For vulnerabilities, who cares about vulnerabilities? Actually, in 2026.
Well, at some point, we do care.
So let's try if it works. Not, of course. You know why? No, I don't know why. Failed to load config. I know why. If you go to this, no, I don't know.
Failed to load config.
This is new.
Okay. Well, that's interesting, right?
But let's try to use Copilot to fix.
Yes.
I don't know if it works.
Let's do
but
that. You can click the icon, this one.
Here.
Yeah.
I'll give you a second. Here.
Yeah. And then
Fix
fix using Copilot. There we go.
Generating. So let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we switch to the other project.
Yeah.
Install missing module, of course. And save modules also is better, maybe, no?
Yeah, but we were installing. That is funny. I'll try it.
Let's see.
And otherwise, we just use chat.
Yeah.
The great thing is that from chat you can also point to your terminal with, for example, a #terminal last command, and that will read the last command that was given in the terminal as well as the output, and that will provide additional context to Copilot.
So let's see what happens. Dun, dun.
Thinking.
Thinking.
So this is it's actually the thinking mode of the current model. I don't know which one you're on auto. So
we are going in auto. I don't know if he decided to go in auto by himself. I think he will use anyway Sonnet or something like that. Very often it use
Sonnet 4.5.
Yeah.
Or 4.
So
well, let's see. And there are some models that expose their thinking, and that's really interesting. You can learn a lot from reading thinking, because there are a lot of assumptions in it that might not be right.
Yeah.
So, and
Working.
sometimes they are right, of course.
I installed it. Okay. He launched some commands again. And also, this is also what I suggest sometimes. Let's say not to use directly your machine. Okay, this is an advanced trip, but use a CoSpace or something like that.
Yeah.
Because even if you add files, delete files, you can delete everything. It works. And you don't delete your
no, CodeSpace is a safe security boundary for Copilot to experiment, and there's not a lot of risk. Assuming that you do regular commits, because that is something that I can advise for sure. Keep on committing. So let's see. Is it
I
working?
think there is still an error, but
okay.
We can.
Well, the card, we don't need that at this point, so
no, maybe not. Let's see.
Should be okay. Although it might not be able to show the card in the screen.
If it's only that one, I don't care. No, we have also container selector problem.
Yeah.
Here. We don't have the icon anymore. We can go manually here. Speed failure. Yeah.
Well, apparently it's not really working the way it should.
But we can go here. I still have some.
Well, let's be specific here.
Yes.
Let's see if we can point to the terminal. We can
Like-
also use terminal selection.
Exactly, like terminal. With this one you mean?
Oh,
Want
we
to
can
use-
also do at terminal and then /fix. I don't know if there's a /fix or only a /explain.
Not only explain with terminal.
Okay.
But you can use the terminal to ask, read the terminal
Mm-hmm.
and read the error I have in the terminal. And help me to fix it. Something like that. Otherwise, I will switch to the project. Otherwise, we don't talk about something else today. But yeah, let's see. You understood that is a problem or not? I didn't read it. Maybe yes.
Verify if the plugin exists. I'm not quite sure how to do that.
No. Same. I use GPT-5 in this case. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, I switched to the other project. But sometimes you need to spend some time at the beginning to have the up and running application. Of course, it's quite normal at the beginning. But for this application, again, it's the same application but with a better UI. And as I told you, when the project starts, very often your application looks like a standard application,
Yeah.
normal application, like in this case. So this is why, again, I use this super professional prompt. Let's say the website looks ugly. Please make it beautiful and really usable, because also the UX is important. Okay, if you launch this command, you arrive to have more or less in just like maybe 5 minutes. I launched the front end also here. It should work here. I hope so. And also I launched the backend, even if you don't need the backend in this moment, because the backend is only for the cart management, let's
There
say,
we go.
and the orders. And so this is the result that I have the first time. And also this is why our American colleague was surprised. He said,
Yeah.
how did you create the shop beautiful like this? With this prompt, okay? So, but even because I specify at the beginning to use the tailwind, no?
Yeah.
So it means that he knows how to have a good layout, and it's easier also for him to create, for it to create a good layout. And then, as you can see here, I can start order an ice cream. If you remember, in the initial prompt, I can ask to have the initial choose between the container of the ice cream, of the gelato, cono or coppetta. Okay, so you can choose here between one or two, and also the flavors that you want. Do you like cookies?
No,
No?
vanilla, of course.
Vanilla, of
That
course.
sounds like a dream.
And also berry burst, if you want.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And also mint. No, mint is not good with berry. Strawberry.
No,
bliss.
strawberry. Yeah.
As you can see, if you remember, I asked at the beginning. I still have my prompt here to have maximum 3 flavors. And as you can see, it implemented by itself. Let's say when I selected 3 flavors, the other flavors are disabled.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
didn't write any line of code. This is a dream for a
It's,
developer. No, you have all these, let's say, checks without writing any single line
Exactly.
of code. You can choose also the topping.
Yeah, some fresh strawberries at the lower left.
And here, as you can see, you can buy as much as you want topping. Just add the price here. And then,
it's pretty cheap.
yes, yeah, it's an Italian
Yeah.
guy, so it's a good guy.
Well, for one ice cream, it's not really cheap, but okay.
And then you can add to the cart, and that's it. And then you can navigate also the cart. So
Yeah.
this is the application that he created without writing any line of code, but just use some copilot prompt. The thing that I did after this first run, of course, I need to create some context for Copilot. Otherwise, if you start to add features and features, Copilot, let's say, use his own
Imagination.
imagination. Okay, so
It's magic, right?
exactly. This is
No,
why
it is
I implemented a GitHub Copilot instruction file. Okay, you can call this file Copilot instruction. Actually, it's a Markdown file, and here I define all the things and the guardrails regarding this project. like this is a full stack application, ice cream shop application called Gino's Gelato. So I reproduce more or less the same thing that I have in the prompt, but of course in a better way and a better
Yeah.
presentation. I can also add the architecture of the application. Also, this one is important, to be honest, to add the copilot instruction, because if you provide the architecture, it try to use the same architecture and not creating new folder, new layers, new service layers, but it try to use the same.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to use a tool to read the directory structure that you have here. The great thing is this instructions file is included by default in all chat messages. Right?
Yes.
And that is because in the front meta header at the top, you included **
Exactly.
as a
this
pattern,
one.
so it applies to all files. Yeah, and that's why you will see that in every time you ask something in chat, this file will be included.
Yes, exactly. If I ask something in the chat, every time this file is included before my prompt.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of system message that you have every
Exactly.
time.
Yeah.
And this is important because you, again, if you add another features, you are sure, for instance, in the front end, that it use TypeScript, Tailwind, and React, and not just use another technology or another version of React. And also some example of the code that you can use, because also in this case, LLM in general are really good to copy and paste, like us, because
it recognizes patterns. If there are
Exactly.
patterns, it will replicate those patterns. So if you have a good coding style, it will come up with examples that have a good coding style. If you make a mess of your coding style, then the Copilot will happily reproduce that mess for you.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Yeah.
And what you can do here, actually what I did, you have two ways for creating this Copilot instruction file. One is a manual, as I mean,
Typing it in manually.
Exactly. Otherwise, you can also use the Copilot itself. No,
Yeah.
you can ask the Copilot, can you create the Copilot instruction based on the current project? So it analyzes the entire project and it starts to write the Copilot instruction.
Yeah.
Also, in that case, it's better if you provide a template or something, because at least you know that you want specific section or something.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
And there's of course the feature in Copilot Chat where you click the cog at the top
Here.
and you generate chat instructions, because that will do exactly that. The only thing is it will create the copilot-instructions.md in the root of the .github folder.
Yes.
So that is the generic one, and these type of instructions file you can make more specific.
Yes.
So you can create one for your specific React files, or for your unit tests, right?
You can also do that
because
now.
that
for
is what
instance.
the apply to is for.
I create a new folder called React, okay, and then inside this folder I can create a new file, React instructions, React instructions.md, and here in these files I just copy and paste this one because I'm faster, and then here, instead of apply to everything, let's say, you can say apply this instruction only to this kind of files.
Yeah.
And
Or
inside,
for example, the React folder.
or the React folder, or the client
if it's
folder.
there, I
The
don't know,
client
it's
folder.
the client folder then.
Yeah, or the client folder. Yes, you can also add something like that. TSX, of course, GSX. Why not? I want to find the folder. Okay.
Yeah, */ and then the folder name.
Client.
Should do the
Okay,
trick.
so this is applied to this one, and then you can add here, in this case, with the auto completion, because I mean.
No, we don't need to fill it now.
Of
I mean,
course,
it's
I'm
just
lazy.
an example that we can create it, right?
But at least you have also the Copilot instruction for React in this case. And then every time when you ask something in the chat, all these files are added by default to the context. So you don't navigate blind. Okay. And so this is the first thing that you need to do if you want to improve your results from Copilot instruction, from Copilot, sorry. And then, what else? I don't know.
Well, maybe to add to that, for the instructions, is the agents file. Because now we're working within our IDE, and this IDE supports all of these instructions, but there is a way more generic way of doing this. So you can, certainly for the general instructions that apply to all of your questions, you can have an agents.md in the root of your project, and that will be picked up by Copilot in your IDE, it will be picked up by the CLI, it will be picked up by the coding agent on github.com, but it will also be picked up by other tools. Tools like Cursor, Windsurf, well, you name it, Claude Code, they all support the agents.md syntax. So it's a great way, certainly if there are developers using different IDEs to work on a project, this is a great way of sharing that.
Yes, for instance, in this case, if you want to change the agent or create a new agent, you can go here, and then you have the default agent. Okay, we don't talk about the default agent because everyone knows how to work. But as you can see here, I have the janitor agent. I like this agent. It's come from a repository from GitHub, and it's like a janitor, actually. And then you can also configure or create a new one. But if you want here, you can go here, select the janitor agent, and then if I open the agent file here, I can go here. As you can see, you can define the name of the agent, the description of the agent, and this is also important, the tools. Let's say that the agents are allowed to use.
Yeah.
So it means that if you want an agent that only read your files but not writing, you can specify here read and not write. So in that case, it's only read the files. Exactly. You can set up a lot of tools here. You have also now finally the how is it called, the code suggestion directly for Visual Studio Code to add these tools. Otherwise, you need to know exactly the name of the tools in the past, but now you have everything. And then in the agent, you can define very similar from the Copilot instruction, all the things that you want to achieve with the agent. Like in this case, I want to analyze the entire code base, eliminating the tech debt and everything. And so it's a really long agent, but then you can also define the execution strategy, everything, let's say. So I want to use the agent for my project, so I select the agent here. In this case, I didn't select the model, but you can also define a model that uses this agent. So if I click here, if I add here GPT 5.2, you see, it changed it to 5.2. And every time when I select the agent, if I am on Opus, if I select the janitor agent, it changes to GPT 5.2. Yeah. And then in this case, I can just say in this case, because do your job. Okay, something like that. And then it start to analyze the code base and do what's inside.
Yeah, or of course you can open up a file and say, please analyze this file
of course,
let me know what we can remove.
And as you can see here, as we said before, you have every time the Copilot instruction inside. So it means even if we try to remove the tech debt and everything, it follows anyway the Copilot instruction file. And this is important, and this is why it's super important to have the Copilot instruction file inside your project. So it starts to work a little bit. It also wants to launch the backend. I don't know why. Maybe it changed something, and it wants to be sure that it still works or something. So it's an agent. Okay, actually, that's it. But you have also a new things now since a while. That they are skills, because we can use also skills inside inside our project now.
Yeah, maybe people know it. Skills originate from Claude Code. And now they are also introduced in GitHub Copilot. So within Visual Studio Code, you can create in the .github folder skills folder. It used to be in a separate .claude folder, but now it's also supported in .github folder. So you don't need to create an additional folder to make these skills work.
Yeah, so just create the skills folder for my mental model that I have. So I know that inside there are skills. But what's the difference between the agent and the skills? Actually, the agent, you need to select the agent manually because you want to use the data agent. But the skills actually are loaded by default by Copilot. Yeah. And then it uses the skills when it thinks that it's a good idea to use the skills. Yeah. So it's not something that you can launch manually. But you can do something like if you go to the Copilot instruction here, and you can just add an example here without any logic in this case, but you can add here skills. Okay, something like that. Skills. Skills. To leverage. If you want to solve the tech debt, call the skills, name it, and then you can add the name here. Okay. So if you have, for instance, we don't have it maybe here, about just an example. Okay, the code cleanup skills here in this folder. Okay, he knows that he needs to call these skills. So it's a kind of chain of skills that you can call, and also inside another skills you can call another skills as well. So if you open the skills files, still a markdown file, you need to provide a name and a description, and then inside the skills you need to provide some information. But as you can see here, inside the skills you can call other skills. So in this case you are quite sure that the other skills is called. Otherwise, you need to open that copilot call.
Yeah, but it is indeed not necessary to mention the skills. But what you can do is let's or see if Copilot actually detects them. In chat, you can ask, "Hey Copilot, what skills are available?" And then it will probably identify all of the skills that are in the skills folder. So. Yes, please add that. I was waiting for that. We're going to the next next step in our application, because otherwise we'll run out of time. So yeah, so we have the first solution. Well, the first step in the solution of the problem. So we do have a list digitally of our of the ice cream that Gino has. The next step is we have challenges, because now they can order, but they don't know when it's their turn. They still need to be in the queue. So I think it would be nice if they get a number, and then we put a small screen on Gino's caravan where people can see whose turn it is, and they can just sit right on the bench and wait for their turn. So yeah, let's switch back to you.
Yes.
And let's see if we can make that work.
I open a new chat, because also this is important. Let's say to clean the context every time when you change the topic. I use Opus, because we are rich and we have a lot of premium requests. No? So I use Opus, and I can ask to let's say to Copilot in this case, to add this feature. So I can just add feature. Okay, so like add small queue how you call it, queue service, service, queue implementation for people that are waiting the ice cream. Gino can serve 3 people at the time. So, and let's see what's happened. Okay. So, let's see. Now I start. I selected Opus 4.5. Let's see what happens here. I think we are running out of time, but who cares?
Let's see how far we can get.
Exactly. And the user, okay, he started to think about what I asked. Need to generate a queue system in the backend, also in the front end. Then so he start to say something here. And he also create a to-do list, as you can see here, so you know exactly where it is. Okay, perfetto. Now I have a good understanding of the code base. So why it answer with these Italian things? Because in the copilot instruction, I also add a new
line,
new line when I want the answer in like the Italian English. So it's a silly experiment, but at the same time you can understand how much you can go deep with the copilot instruction file.
Yeah.
And then you start to create everything here, as you can see here, queue controller and everything. And then let's see what happens.
Yeah. So in the meanwhile, what would be the next step? Maybe something with an MCP server would be nice.
Yes, you know why? Because if you remember, when I launched the application, every time, I don't know if it's still running or not. Yes, still running the application. if I want to test the application, for instance, I need to
Yep.
go here, click here, click here, okay, click here, okay, add to cart. Oh, it added to cart, it works, fine, way, we are happy, okay? But every time it's a little bit a mess, especially if your application is big.
Yeah.
But what we can do here, you can install the Playwright MCP server or your Visual Studio Code, okay? And otherwise, you can also have this folder called Visual Studio Code with your MCP server. And this, in this case, these MCP server are for only this project. So
Yeah.
you don't need to install every time in your Visual Studio Code, because maybe you have only one project where you use Playwright. It doesn't make sense to have the MCP server for every project.
Yeah.
But you can only have here. In this case, I did the opposite, because I use Playwright often. So I have Playwright everywhere, but I don't use this approach so often. So this is why I create these samples here with the NCP JSON in this file here, in this project here.
Maybe 2 side notes here. One is, of course, you always want to start with unit testing and then start UI testing afterwards. But for now, for the sake of this demo, we'll show this. And for the people that don't know what MCP servers are the glue between GitHub Copilot and any external API. So it can be something local, it can be something remote. Maybe you have GitHub or Azure DevOps or Jira running, and you want Copilot to be able to retrieve issues or PRs and then make changes to those using Copilot. And that is really great. One of the scenarios where I use it is I first write my issues on github.com, and then I start working on an issue locally, and then I say, Copilot, retrieve that issue. And let's first iterate over the plan that we created in the issue and improve on that. And then work further for the implementation. And of course, you can do that on github.com using the coding agent, or do that locally depending on the situation.
You didn't share my screen, maybe? No, you are
Yes,
sharing
I
my
did.
screen?
Yes,
Okay, because I
yes,
see the other screen, sorry.
For sure.
And no, but I want to sure.
Yeah, good that you check.
And now it's still working on the previous request. Maybe I can stop or not. Let's wait. I think it's at the end, so we can also wait. But in the meantime, here I will show you the MCP server that I have in this project. And as you can see, I have a lot of MCP server here. They are the tools actually. And then I have Serena, sequential thinking, myself, blah blah, and also I don't know why I don't see here Playwright. Sorry, I didn't see Playwright. And in this case, I have a mix, as I told you, because Serena, for instance, I don't have Serena in other projects, but only in this project. Serena is an MCP server that helps Copilot to have a better context, because it's a kind of memory and cache that the Copilot can use directly. And the fun things about Serena and other MCP server, that also in this case, you don't decide if you call it the MCP server or not. But Copilot, it uses the MCP server by itself.
Yeah.
Because if you...
Yeah, let's see how that works, right?
Yes.
Let's,
maybe it's finished here?
It finished
wow.
to work, so...
So, keep.
It's,
And
yeah, it's asking you to stop
yes.
the process so it can run the application, because probably it was still running. So...
Allow.
Yeah. It's great that it uses the tasks, right? And here you see the value of defining these tasks.
Yeah, exactly.
That we did at the beginning, because Copilot also picks up on that. It knows about the launch.json, it knows about the tasks.json. So there's really value in putting that there, as well as having a readme.md though.
Oh, make on tema. Allow. Okay. Yes. Mario Rossi, of course.
It's manually testing the API. That's fun.
Yeah, it's manual testing API, yes.
Bellissimo.
Bellissimo. The queue is working. Mario is being served.
Nice.
Love it. And as soon as it's finished, perfetto. The queue is working exactly as you expect. Gino is serving 3 customers at a time.
I love the name. Luigi, Sofia, Alessandro, Giulia, Marco. It's we get in the mood.
You see,
right?
I have the queue here. You see, now it works. I have the queue here, being served, waiting, being wait. Wow, it works. Anyway, it opened a simple browser here. But as we said, we want to use the Playwright here in this case.
Yeah.
But every time, also in this case, I'm Italian. I'm lazy by nature. Okay. So I don't want to write every time the same prompt. So this is why I created my prompt here in the prompt folder.
Yeah, it's another way of having a custom instruction, right? So in the .github folder,
Yes,
and then within that, in the prompts folder, you can have pre-defined prompts,
exactly.
and you can share them with your colleagues because they're in the repository.
It's in the repository, so
Yeah,
it's also good practice if you share the prompt instead of every time everyone, let's say, can use their imagination to create a prompt or to create a test. You can have a prompt, and you can in this file, as you can see here, you can define everything. Let's say in this case that it's an agent. You can say that it's an agent. You can also define that like only ask for the prompt or something like that.
yeah,
You can also specify also in this case the tools that this prompt can use, and it should use. Let's say not
yeah.
only can
Yeah,
use,
yeah,
but
yeah. They are
should use.
actually disabled the tools that are not selected.
Yeah, some also instruction to the prompt directly.
Yeah.
Let's say some guidelines to follow.
Let's try it out.
In this case, I just go here. I use the prompt. If you use the prompt, you can just use this one. I don't remember how you call it.
Playwright.
Playwright.
There we go.
And
And
then
that's the name of the prompt file. So that's
Explore.
the name of the prompt file
Oh,
appears
I
as a slash command.
I open something else. Here, I close this one. Explore. So in this case, I hope that it launch Playwright. Use it to reference. One is the copilot instruction, and the other one is the prompt. As you can see here it launched the browser here, in this case Chrome, and it start to select by itself. I didn't use the mouse. It start to select the things,
Yeah.
and it start to explore the application. Also because it knows how it works from the business logic, because in the copilot instruction we say all the things. So this is why it scroll also the browser, the browser, as you can see. He added to the cart and everything. So I think it's almost at the end, let's say. So he closed the browser, and now he starts to create the file
Yeah.
with the test. So
Yeah.
you can relaunch the same test several times.
Exactly.
Uh,
Gets repeatable.
I don't know if people here say knows Playwright, but in the past you can do all this. You need to do all these things manually.
Yeah.
So it means you need to launch Playwright and record all the things, and then you can create the files, of course, but kind of manually.
There we go. And now it is generated.
It's generated. Okay.
Yeah. Created file from reading source documents. Let me check if Playwright is set up to run the tests. Now it will run it, right? It will run the TS file it created. Ice cream builder spec.ts.
Yeah.
So that looks really amazing. Looking at the time, I'm going back to the slide deck. So this was the last step to be able to scale, and as you can see, everybody is happy. There is a number indicating whose turn it is. So we helped Gino a great time. So yeah, we have come to an end. It was really a high speed train. I hope for you as well. You enjoyed it. Yeah, if you want to know more, because this is just the tip of the iceberg, we do a lot of GitHub training where we dive way deeper into the stuff. We have different demos, of course, but for now, I think we had fun time with Gino, and all of the Gelato buyers are really happy not being in the queue anymore. All right, so thanks for being here, wrapping up.
Yeah, thank you.
And hope
everyone.
to see you again.
Yes, I hope so. Speak soon. See you
Yes.
soon.
Bye.
Bye bye.